So here's another unique use for text in motion. And this is a way to take characters that don't even look like text, but be able to use them in the context of things like the text sequence behavior. Because once you have an object as a text object, you can use all these different text animation methods to apply to them. So what I'm going to do is hit T for the text tool. I'm going to click in the canvas, but I'm not going to type anything yet. If I were to type now, it would type in this current selected font right here in the inspector. But instead, I'm going to go to the Edit menu and choose Special Characters. So check this out. Special Characters brings up this OS 10 interface. This is kind of like the show fonts that we've looked at earlier, but there's all kind of interesting, fun characters in here that you can add to a motion project. So for instance, there's this hand here, and there's all kind of variations on the hand. There's arrows, there's parentheses, there's all kind of punctuation, currency symbols, all kind of fun pictographs, bullets and stars. So just a great bunch of math symbols. Unfortunately, emoji won't work here. You can't get those in. I really wish you could, but those won't work. But everything else will work. So for example, let's just take something simple like this star here. So what I'm going to do, move over so we can see my little cursor there. If I double click, I get that star. Okay? I double click, I'll get another star. Let's just do a few different stars in here. That'll be enough. And then I'll close this, and I'll hit escape, and I have a series of stars. Now what's so cool is these are vector objects. So if I can increase the font size to make them larger, or I can just scale them up by increasing the scale. Let me undo that. I'm going to hold down Shift and Option. And you can see these are vector objects, so no matter how big they are, they're going to be nice and crisp and clear. So you can use them as graphics, which is awesome. So I'm going to undo that. So one option is to use these as graphical elements in your projects, but because this is a text object, check this out. It shows up in the Layers tab as a text layer, so that means you can use things like sequence text behaviors to animate them. So for instance, let's leave it centered to the left here. And if I go to the library, to behaviors, to text sequence behaviors, anything that we use here will work on these guys. So I don't know, let's use this twister one that we saved earlier. And then we've got a little animation that works directly on those objects. Let's add to it. That's really not so interesting, but if we go to the inspector and I'll add format position and have them start from down be off on the edge of the screen. And we've got a bunch of stars. So another thing while we're here, we're going to talk a little later about text on a path, but what this would be great for is, let's go back into here. I'm going to hit Shift S to get back to a regular tool. I'm going to delete these other guys, and then I'm just going to copy this one, copy, and then paste, 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 paste. Escape, Shift S, and then what I'm going to do is in the text layout section, this is the part that we keep coming back to here, I'm going to change the layout method to path. And now that we have a path layout method, I'm going to scroll down and change the path to a circle, which puts all these on a circle. And I can change the radius, so I don't want a little tiny circle, I really want kind of a arch, so something like that. And I'll use the path offset to move them into place. So something like that. So they form a little arch, and Shift S so I can move the whole thing down. And now if I play that, these will animate on into a nice little arch. So if you're thinking, you know, the opening of a movie where you see the stars form over the mountain, you can almost do something like this where we're not using text, but we're using the power of a text sequence behavior and text on a path. Let's fix up that path. It's not quite level, is it? Take that path offset. Let's turn on ruler, Shift Command R, and drag down a ruler so that we can see. I'll use that path offset to get them a little straighter. If I hold the Option key while I'm dragging, I can drag more precisely. There, they're pretty round like that. Let's also increase the radius a little bit more. About like that. There we go. So just a fun, interesting way to use text animation in motion by combining the idea of using special characters, edit special characters, and then combining that with a text on a path and a sequence text behavior.